G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty, here on a Wednesday. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to ask you off the top what you think is the great story of the year, the NRL season.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one, isn't it? I have this sort of, one of the great loves of the Melbourne Cup is the Melbourne Cup is one of those events where every year the winner of the Melbourne Cup sort of added to the legend of the Melbourne Cup. Okay, you go to Rogan Josh and Barbara Davies owning it and training it, and Bart Cummings ringing up, look, let me train it, and he takes this nag from Western Australia and wins the Melbourne Cup. All sorts of stories go on, okay? And every year just adds a little bit of that romance to the story. And the NRL, I think most sports are as strong as their stories. And the NRL does a pretty good job of that. And I was looking at the teams the other day, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, you know what, like Canterbury have had a pretty special year. 4 years ago, they were running last.
Yep.
They finished the season last place. And in 4 years, they've turned over their roster. They've had pretty harshly at times, but they've turned over their roster. They've been leading the competition most of the year. And you'd normally sit back and you go, you know what, like this year's story is Canterbury. Can they win the comp? And then I thought, you know what? But then you look at it and you think, well, hang on. Everybody had Canberra in the bottom four. Some had Canberra running last at the beginning of this season. Okay. Here they are with 4 rounds to go. They're leading the competition. They've lost 4 games all season. So you think, wow, you know what? Canberra they're probably the fairy tale story of the season. But then you look even deeper into it and you think, well, look at Penrith. Penrith were running last in May.
We haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, and look, I know that they're the 4-time premiers, and again, been saying it all year. If any team can come from outside the top 4 win the comp, it was Penrith. Well, it doesn't look like they might even need to do that now. They're currently in 4th position. It's got to be tough for them to stay in 4th position, I do believe, given their run home. They've got some really tough games on the way home. But I just thought what Penrith have done to come from last in May to now be in the top 4. They're on a 9-match winning streak.
Phenomenal. And
they are back in the fight. They are second favourites in all the betting all around the country. And I just thought, like, if you wrote the story and you say, of all their 5 premierships, this will be the one. If they win this year, of the 5 that they'll have won in a row, this will be the one that everyone will go, that was just unbelievable.
Yes.
So there's just all these magnificent sort of stories all developing.
Yep.
And look, only one will get to live out the story, I believe.
What about the Roosters? Would you include those?
Well, the Roosters have still got to make the 8, yeah. But if the Roosters can, again, they've had a season where we all saw
they're going to be bottom 4.
We all thought, gee, we've overestimated them. They're having a rebuilding year. They needed a rebuilding year. But then some of these young kids that have come through and the coaching that's gone into them and how well they've performed, they are a side again. I can't see them quite getting to the Premiership. But if they did, then they're the story. It's magnificent what's sort of unfolding here. Every team, even Melbourne, for all Melbourne, we're just used to seeing them win, but they haven't done it easily at all this season. They've been near their best. But again, you have to, Melbourne get to the end, they win the Premiership, you just go, you know what, this is a side that's just never beaten, never out of it, always in the contest, and even when they're not at their best, they're still the best. Like that's what the story will be with Melbourne. So I just like the way it's all sort of shaping up and the way we're looking at the competition now and what these teams are doing. Like there's some tremendous stuff around.
Well, a subpot to this whole Canterbury discussion is I can't ever remember another team or another coach making the decisions that Serrato has made on his key spine positions at 7 and 9, 4 weeks out and 6 weeks out or whenever Sexton was changed. I mean, have you seen that before?
No, not like this, no. Not that I can recall anyway. I'm sure that someone will probably remember one somewhere, but it has been
big calls, aren't they?
It has been pretty ruthless too. Yeah, like I really feel for Reid Marnie. Reid Marnie was brought into Canterbury, as I said, finished last in 2021. He was brought into Canterbury
as a change maker.
He's the change agent. Bring in, change the culture, bring a little bit of winners because he'd come off a good season at Parramatta where they'd made the grand final. So he'd had he came in with some skin in the game. He helped Canterbury get to where they are, and now they're where they are. They want him to be there. So I really feel for him. Like that's It's a bitter pill. I haven't spoken to him since this recent stuff's happened, but I can't imagine he's taking it well. Certainly deep down inside. I know he'd certainly be trying his best for the team, and he'll still be contributing. But it must be bitter to swallow to just sit there and say, well, I helped where they are. They got me there to help get them where they are. They're where they want to be, and they've got rid of me. It's a tough one.
You hear the players talk about, it's a professional sport and, the game's a business and that kind of stuff, but they still love the game, and that's why they're playing it. Reed Marnie, to put so much in and then not be part of that team, just gut-wrenching, right?
And it's part of that pride that you have as a professional athlete. You take pride in your performance. You take pride in the fact that you've helped the team get there, that you're helping them win. And then when you finally get to that situation where you're about to get the rewards for it all, suddenly you're not part of it. So, I feel like it's a tough one to swallow. And I really look. I don't think it really has any doubts about how ruthless Cameron Ciraldo is about winning and his approach to winning. The fact that they've done these two major changes, halfback and hooker, this late in the season, really just it shows you that Canterbury think this is their season. That they're not going to sit there and they could have kept Sexton there, they could have kept Reed Marnie there, and they could have got to the end of the year and said, you know what, we stuck by these guys, we didn't quite get there, but we stuck by these guys, but next year's our year. They're smart enough to know that next year might not be their year. They might have an injury year like South have just had and be nowhere near the finals next year. So they've thrown all their eggs in, and it's all or nothing. But I tell you, that cold heart of professionalism, it's there for everyone to see now.
It's raised its head many times this year. Do you think those three storylines, so Dogs, Canberra, probably not Penrith, but is that going to decide who's coach of the year? Who do you think is coach of the year?
Look, I think at the moment you're going to put Ricky Stewart in as coach of the year. Yeah, I think the problem with coach of the year is it gets announced before the finals start. But I think we're going to have to look at, one, there's always a bias towards the coach of the minor premiers.
Okay.
Because they've won the most games, so theoretically they've done the best job. And I think given what Ricky has done and where they've come from, I think he'd be short odds on to win coach of the year. But all three, for different reasons, have done magnificent jobs. As I said a couple of days ago, it's very hard to actually sit here and find a year where there's been so many great coaching performances. And those three in particular, they've done wonderful jobs. And I think Ricky will get coach of the year, but we'll wait and see. Look, one thing I can tell you, I got in trouble once. I had a bet on the coach of the year. Didn't that? Oh, here we go. But yeah, no.
Well, give us a story.
Well, I did. I was me and Fletch had $100 on
I remember that story
Bellamy winning coach of the year.
Did you get a tip?
No, but that's the point. You don't get. Everyone assumed we did, and obviously it was great sort of fodder for rival media.
Okay.
Because anyone that had a bet $100 or over got interviewed. So we just sat there and
get interviewed by the police or by that?
Yeah, detectives. Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous because it did get leaked that year, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
The guys the
two guys, they had more on it.
Yeah, thank Christ I didn't. Well, they opened their accounts. They opened up accounts, put thousands in, put it all on coach of the year.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So they weren't particularly clever. But yeah, I only had $100 on it, so thank God
It's a small bet for you.
Oh, yeah, please. But I'll tell you though, mate, seriously. Could have ended badly if they were friends of mine, I'll tell you.
Yeah, right. Well, let's talk about betting. Let's talk about the Pointsbet Premiership odds for this year, because the interesting thing is the top four teams are standouts compared to the bottom four.
You don't look, the bottom four. I wouldn't even waste the money. Even Brisbane have blown out to $25 now on PointsBet. I wouldn't go near the Broncos. I don't think they're going to be in a position to finish top four, and I don't think they're good enough, even at their full strength, to beat the top four teams. To be honest with you, the value in I think Canberra and Canterbury are the value in the top four at the moment, $5 and $5.50.
Yeah,
they're the value for me. Like Penrith have come from nowhere; they were 50 to 1 or something halfway through the season back in May, and now what are they? $4. Melbourne are no value, $2.80.
I guess what it shows is you need to get top four, right? And a couple of these teams play, like Melbourne play all top 8 teams, except for the Roosters, who are 9. They play the Panthers, Bulldogs, Broncos.
Yeah.
Tough, right?
Yeah, they've got a tough run home.
And Penrith plays Storm, Raiders, Roosters, Dragons. Not as tough, but still very tough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those top 2 teams,
Yeah.
you know, are no certainty to win those games.
Yeah, and the Raiders they've got a bye this week. Then they've got Penrith, West, Tigers, and Dolphins. You would assume that they're going to get. I should be able to put 2 of those in the bank. The Panthers are going to be a tough game, but that'll also give them a good indication of where they're at. So I think it's a good run home for Penrith, for Canberra.
Dogs got a tough draw. Roosters, Storm, Panthers, Sharks.
Well, the 3 of the top 4 have got tough draws.
Yeah.
Melbourne, Penrith, and Canterbury all got tough draws.
Yeah.
Canberra's got the easiest draw home, which is why they're short favourites to win the minor premiership, given they're already in front as well. But it's a fascinating one. Like I'm starting to get a little bit of that taste for semi-final football. Like I walk home after I do this, and the sun's it's a bit lighter in the day than it was.
The sun's shining, the birds are twerking.
Yeah, well, you can feel it you can literally feel it in the air. You can feel like finals football because our season changes from winter to spring. You can actually feel that. You can feel in the weather, and I think for having followed the game for so long, you sort of associate one with the other. So it gets everybody a bit excited. So I'm starting to give it a bit of
I felt a little bit of a kick in your step when you walked in today.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of kicks today. So.
Okay, very good. So let's talk about an article that Alex McKinnon wrote. Very interesting because there's a lot of talk about the state of the game and whether where we're at. And Alex McKinnon wrote a great piece. I think it was on Fox Sports.
Yeah, it was on Fox Sports. Yeah, look, Alex obviously still working around the game. He watches the game a lot. He's a good thinker, Alex. Been a lot of talk this week was about this kicking for the corners now. The Teague Wilton penalty try last week, which was an embarrassment for the game.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people sitting there going, okay, well, this is no longer acceptable. Like that, I think, unfortunately for us, we've got to sit there and wait for something to happen for us to go, oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, or some club will cotton onto it, figure it out before everybody else, and they'll exploit it, and we'll go, okay, we can't do this. And now we know it's becoming a ploy. Teams are kicking for corners. Their big loopers are jumping in the air, and if they can catch the ball, then basically
it's a try.
They're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex has jumped onto this a little bit before, and he's brought in a few rule changes. One of my mates tipped me into this, and one of which is essentially to try and lessen the value of kicking in the game. We are becoming too much of a kick-happy game, I think, in many respects. Kicking, it's all over the shop, from the dropouts, kickoffs, to the fact that we're doing all these kicks down to the corners. And so he's come up with some different ideas. You want to go through and we'll have a look at them. But I think there's a lot of value in that. He wants to return the game. Essentially, the whole essence of his rule change suggestions are he wants to return the game to more of a running game.
Yep.
So we're not sitting there, 4 hit-ups, kick to the corner.
Reduce kicking, promote running.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue with that.
And he also argues about returning to a game with different body types,
which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, but I think that's been run and gone. I think the modern footballer is built the same size, except for wingers and outside backs.
Well, they are, but you don't look. The problem with that though was if you're not 6'1", 100 kilos who can run 100 in even time, it's hard to get a job in the NRL. Even halfbacks these days are 6 foot tall.
Hugo Savala, 6'3" or 4".
6'3", 6'4". Yeah. Nathan's, I think, 6'1". Nathan Cleary. Like Tommy Rodonigas walked around at 5'7". Peter Sterling was 5'6", 5'7". So they weren't big guys. But the other thing is too, see, one of the problems of the game, let me give you a really good example. When they brought in interchange, everyone thought this is great, makes the game faster, keeps the game moving. It's a lot, the game just moves at a quicker pace.
Yep.
Before interchange, the greatest, not maybe the greatest player in the game at the time, certainly the greatest forward in the game at the time, was a bloke called Brad Clyde.
Fit as.
Who could do stuff on the football field that no one else in his position could do. And one of those things that he excelled at was Brad Clyde would get the ball, tackle one off a kick return. He'd make the tackle on a kick chase. He had this motor that just didn't slow down. So what would happen though is he would play and by the 70th minute, the opposition lock had his backside hanging out. The opposition forwards they just couldn't keep up with him anymore. Yep. And he was still going. He was still working. He was still quick on his feet. And so that was his advantage for all that hard work he did to get fit and to get that sort of that aerobic and anaerobic sort of base so high. Then they brought in unlimited interchange, which then got reduced to limited interchange, but certainly was more than just the old 2 on, 2 off that they used to do before then. And all his advantage left.
Yep.
Because what happened is when everyone started to get tired at the 50th or 60th minute,
Yeah.
they just took him off, put a new guy on. So suddenly Brad Clyde looks up, he's got a fresh player in front of him.
Yep.
So there is a place. Like, I don't think you have to have all the same body types. There is a place for that guy who's just got that engine that keeps going.
Yep.
But it might not be as big as everyone else, but he can play for 80 minutes. He can play through 80 minutes. You used to always have your big second row and you have your little stocky second row. They did different jobs on the field. You had your front rows were slightly different too. You had the one that was more like Arthur Beetson, just big and heavy set, and then the other guy a little bit leaner who could probably sort of, get through the line a little bit more and would be more of a runner than a ball player, so to speak, and bash and barge guy. The game could do that. Your centres were the same. You had the fast, nippy outside centre, and then you had the sort of more solid ball-playing inside centre. You had different positions, and generally as a body type, you could find your position. Now, unless you're born with the requisite statistics, height and weight and athletic build and all the rest of it, you're no chance. This fallacy that it doesn't matter how much the odds are against you. If you work hard enough, you'll get there. That's wrong. Some kids will never play first grade, no matter how hard they work there, because they are simply the wrong body type. Whereas maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, they could have been the right body type.
Yeah,
because the game would find a position for them.
I don't necessarily agree with you, Kenty. I think the modern game is not that much different to the old game in terms of, your ball playing 13. I think that's still fairly similar to the old days. And, Clyde was a ball player. I think these modern footballers are ball players at 13. That's come back into the game. I agree.
Well, yeah,
it's come back. It was
gone
gone for a long time.
But some of them are also, they play in the middle now.
Yeah, they do.
Where they're required to do that sort of tackle 3 hit-ups as well.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think that part of that issue with that ball playing 13 is that they bring them off after 20 or 30 minutes. I think that's the frustrating part about this.
I'd love them to get rid of the interchange. Totally get rid of the interchange.
Well, Alex McKinnon's saying they go to 6. They're at 8 at the moment. They go to 6.
Yeah. Look, one of the things I remember years ago, sat down with Bob Fulton and Matty Johns, actually. We sat down, we were talking about things, and we had a meeting with Dave Smith, the 4 of us, and we were talking about
the
former bosses of the NRL. And we had some ideas about how to sort of, it wasn't my ideas. I sort of was the conduit between them. It was about how to try and just sort of get back to the game that we know and love. And one of the things,
Matty's smart football brain.
Oh yeah, terribly smart. Yeah, very good. Yeah, Matty's just thinking
about everything.
Far too much to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
But Matty thinks. But the part about that is, and this is sort of again, Dave Smith look, he tried his hardest to sort of understand. His concern was that this is going to get me in awful trouble. His concern was that it would appear racist if they tried to bring down the interchange, because the bigger like Polynesian kids who don't stereotypically have the bigger motor, who are more power athletes, that they would be basically
prejudiced,
pushed out of the game.
Yeah, right.
But I think if you look at the game, I don't think that's the case. There's certainly enough players who of Polynesian heritage who do very well in that area, as there are other nationalities. I don't think it's really like a heritage thing.
That's a progress, right? That's training and progress.
Yeah, but it's a thing the NRL looked at. It's a thing the NRL did look at. The NRL did have a look at it, and they were terrified of just that someone coming out and saying that and then being labelled that way, and it basically ended the conversation there. I think people with a little bit sort of deeper understanding of the game recognise that that's not quite the case. That while you can always find someone who fits the bill, there's also someone that doesn't. Okay, and that doesn't really open it up for any other person of any other background. It's just the way the game is. So it is a difficult one, and it's one the NRL's terrified of speaking about and actually having to address. But
Payne Haas is one off the top of my head.
Well,
right?
look, like he's got a bigger motor than anybody. Yeah. Okay, so that's the point. At the end of the day, but though, I think we underestimate how good fatigue is. You think about you think of the great sporting moments in the world, many of them anyway. A lot of them are about fatigue. You look at the past grand finals. You look at the '89 grand final, Canberra and the Balmain Tigers. They're both out on their feet, and it's just basically who can drag themselves up and get going again. You look at Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier in the Thriller in Manila. They fought themselves to exhaustion.
Or Nick Kosef the other day blamed himself on chiming in, blamed himself for losing the Premiership because he was too tired to move across because he was fatigued.
Yeah,
and tackle. Darren Albert.
Yeah, and as I said to you, the one thing coaches can't coach against fatigue, but it can really open up great moments in sport. And I think for some reason fatigue's a nasty word in the NRL. We don't want it. Whereas I think what's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Like Johnny Lewis always used to say that the great rugby league games are like a 15-round boxing match. You know, they are essentially you have your softening up period, then you have your middle of the fight where you get things based into a rhythm, and then then your last 3 rounds is who can keep going for longer.
Last man standing.
Yeah,
right?
and I think it's a really good quality to have in the sport. And I think it's always generally, even now, we look at the games and some of those best games that we see now, and when teams, for whatever reason, get to that point where they're out on their feet and they're just hanging on, and they're making last-ditch tackles and they're making these extra efforts, and we sit there, and that's when the crowd goes up. That's when you hear the noise in the crowd. That's when the commentators are yelling into their microphones because they're recognising that they're seeing something pretty special, as opposed to teams at the moment, which we see in other games, just coasting to full time and not really busting a sweat sometimes. And you just think, well, hang on, did we really get much of a game there? So,
well, Alex McKinnon mentions a few things, right, in order to create a better spectacle. He says reduce interchanges, which I think is good. I'd like to see no interchanges before half-time. If you make a change before half-time,
it's permanent.
Penalties must be taken on the spot. No scrums and a handover. No 6 agains inside your own half. Sin bins for the third. Repeat deliberate penalties. Some of those are quite good. He goes on. Some of those I don't agree on. Like he says, to keep the ball, more play on calls for 50-50 knock-ons. Play the ball. I just can't see that happening. Because people will blow up about that.
Well, I can see what he's saying though. Like we're not blowing up about it offsides because we're not getting to see them when they just say 6 again. So, look, as long as you think it's gone backwards, play on. Who's to argue with the referee that if he says he thought it went backwards?
He says line dropouts must go 20 metres or a penalty.
Yeah, that's nothing. But
scrap the 40-20.
I just think we've got to get. I think the game really needs at some point to try and bring back that fatigue factor. I think it's a strong part of the game. It will allow a different. It will allow other different body types to come into the game too, I think. And I just think it just adds to that sort of majesty of the game sometimes.
Reduce the interchange. Even if blokes are on the bench, they never come on.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's better than what they're doing now. Teams are faking HIA. It's just they get more interchanges. Like, come on, let's get our act together. And that, Warren, that shows you how important it is.
The fatigue.
And that shows you the impact it does. The clubs are actually bullshitting about how
Prepared
many
to break the
HIA.
rules.
Well, they are. And that's why the NRL, I think. I don't know if they'll ever get there because I don't know if they've got the courage to do it. But I tell you what, I think it'd be a better spectacle.
Did you hear just before we go on to our Ask Kenty's, our favourite time of the week? Did you hear Jared Sutton say something about I'm not managing the game?
We're not managing the game.
We're not managing the game.
I've read it, but I haven't. We've read it, but I haven't heard it. So I don't know in what context it was said in. But
interesting.
It concerns me. Pointsbet's new 5 for $25. Answer more or less to 5 player performance questions and get $25 odds. The fast and easy way to place the same game multi on rugby league, available only in the Pointsbet app. Pointsbet, built different.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
All right, let's get on to the Ask Kenty's. We got a truckload, Kenty, so let's keep them quick. Troy asks, what do you think about having trainers only available in stoppages when a try scored or a penalty shot? Interchanges can only happen at that time.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's rubbish now that the trainers are on there so much. Just get them. Look, players came at Buzz, I think, said this week on 360. Players are running about 7-8 kilometres a game on average.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard go, right?
Mm.
But that's 7 or 8 kilometres in about, an hour and 40 minutes that they're running.
With half time.
Because, with a half-time break of 15 minutes in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're
not going to be parched.
It's not dangerous.
No.
Okay? And I just think that we're indulging too much there, and I think the NRL's just got to say, you know what, you're off the field. The only time I think the only time they should be allowed to have a drink is when there's a try scored. And that's it. I don't even go as far as say even that's the only time you can change a player unless he's hurt and not to come back on.
What about if they had little water packs with the little things on them?
Yeah, that's mate. You keep thinking like that. See how we go.
That's a good. Shane Crompton.
Camel pack, I think they call
Camel
it.
pack, that's it, yeah. Not a camel toe, a camel pack. Why does the NRL have double standards for the top teams, the Dogs, Panthers, and different for the bottom teams?
They don't. They don't have double standards. I think fans of lower teams think that.
Yeah.
But certainly, look, they don't have double standards. There might be a unconscious bias there somewhere, but subconscious bias, I should say. But no, I don't think they treat teams. They don't certainly set out to do that. So
okay,
that's just a fan upset that he's had some.
I get it. I understand it.
Okay.
This answer is going to take 2.5 hours, but I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Scotty McLaren asked, "What would you do to overhaul the Rabbitohs? Do they need a roster clean out?" Was Jack White?
No, they've just got to start recruiting better. They've made some poor recruiting decisions. They've got themselves into a bad spot.
They're too old, I think.
Well, look, there's a lot there.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot. Look, they're not anywhere near the finished product. They've got to start with the roster. They've got to get some more use in there, and they've just got to get. They need a halfback for a start. Jamie Humphries is going okay, but they've been unsettled there all year. I don't know if Humphries is going to quite be the halfback that's going to take them to a grand final. Look, they just need an overhaul of the roster. Look, Wayne knows what he's doing there. He's just got to have time to do it. I hope that the magic's still there when he picks up the phone and whispers sweet nothings in their ear.
He will have the time. Okay, this is Ask Peace says, "I'd like to suggest a playoff system for the bottom 9. Some team's season is over by week 20. Keep fans and fans engaged."
Mate, yeah, wonderful idea.
Can I butt in there? That is a terrible idea.
Yeah, shocker.
Are you telling me that South, who are coming last, at the end of the regular season, want to play again?
Yeah, keep playing. To finish? Years ago, I'll tell you, when the MCO Cup was on, midweek footy, right? And so after the first round, half the teams would already be out, okay? Because it was knockout. Remember, it was a knockout format.
Yeah, Wednesday nights.
And Norths were the great losers of the NRL. Well, back then it was the New South Wales League. They won their first comp in 1921. They won their last comp in 1922.
Yeah.
Could not win a toss, okay? So they came up with the idea back then that, look, all these teams get knocked out in the first round. What can they do? So let's put a competition on for them. Well, Norths, they won that competition. So they won the losers competition. But it was just a ridiculous idea. Like, what the players we're already arguing that they're playing too much footy.
They don't need more games.
They're not going to need more games, particularly when they're playing for nothing.
Yep. Dennis says, "Hi, guys. Thanks for my signed Paul Kenty cap. You know, we're selling these at fanatics.com. We don't charge extra for signatures." But Kenty was
trying to stop me put signatures on.
Kenty was so worried that somebody would rip off his signature and put him on the bottom of a check that he's changed his signatures for the cap. So it's not. Don't try and rip off his signature.
Yeah, no, I don't have a checkbook anymore. So
okay, very good. Will the Parramatta Eels ever win a premiership?
Yeah, they'll win one. I just don't know when.
It's been 39 years, old mate saying.
Yeah, it's longer. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, there was this eternal wait for Parramatta to win a comp from when they came in 1947. It's actually been longer now than it was then. So it took, 34 years, I think it took to win the comp.
Okay.
47 to 81, 34 years. And now it's been, it's heading into 39, or it's at 39, whatever it is. So it's a long time. 39 now. Yeah, 86 was the last one. So.
Plenty of my good mates are Para fans, so I love it.
They nearly got there. They nearly got there under Brad Arthur. They got beaten in the grand final by Penrith.
And under Brian Smith.
Yeah. Look, they'll get there again. I think Jason Riles is showing good signs. I wouldn't declare he's going to get them to a grand final yet, but certainly the signs are good at Parramatta at the moment.
Particularly with Mitchell Moses. David Beard asks, are the Raiders a legitimate chance to win the comp?
Yep.
Okay, Concrete Dave says, who's the best little man to play the game? Mine was Mango Bowen, he says.
Yeah, look, there's a million great players. Mine was Jeff Tuvey.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was tough as 10 men and just shirked nothing. Could do it all, you know. He just was a great player, Jeff Tuvey.
I love Phil Blake, Scotty Gale, the old chip and chasers. We
Yeah.
don't see those anymore, do we?
No,
Chip and chase.
Unless the front row gets it and has a panic attack.
This is Raymond Campbell. He says, I love the pods. I'm 71 years old and I love the way rugby league used to be played. What changes? Give me one change you would make, Kenty.
Oh, look, I'd get rid of the 6 again rules. And I'd get rid of a lot of these new rules to try and make the game more flowing. And I'd bring back, I don't want to necessarily say bring back scrums, but we need to bring back contested possessions because so we get away from this. If you dominate possession or you don't drop the ball, you virtually can't be beaten.
Yep. That's also Fadwick asked
Maybe
that
we
question.
even bring in winner kicks now after tries.
I think they have to do
Scorer
that.
kicks.
Have to do that. Let's do that next year. This 446 asks this every week, so I've got to ask, have you seen the movie Centre? Documentary Centre.
Documentary. Yeah, it's very good.
You love it?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's no narrator in it. It's all the stories and the dialogue of Centre at the time tells the story, which brings this tragic end.
Big Banger says, should the NRL supply the water boys and medics?
No.
Okay.
No, look.
They won't message the players then.
Yeah, they won't message the players, but they also won't be able to. Look, the argument that will be put against that is the same argument they used against independent doctors, where now we have both, which is that the medics will know the players' personalities and know if there's something odd that they'll pick up, which could say, actually, I'm concerned about this. Let's get him off and have a look at him. And that's a player safety thing. So that's why that won't happen. But yeah, so
okay, 3 more. Mark Berry asks, why do NRL referees coach players? You know, put your head in the scrum, no tackling the
because
butt.
it's all down to this game management that they try to do.
Yep.
Rather than officiating. If you don't put your head in the scrum, penalise him.
Okay.
That's honestly, that's as simple as that. You know, hand off the ball, penalise them. Clear the ruck, penalise them. You don't need to tell them. Yeah, it all started with Bill Harrigan. Right, Bill was the best thing that ever happened to refereeing, and also the worst thing that ever happened to refereeing.
Jimmy B says, with word that the AFL has signed Snoop Dogg for the grand final, this is part of the 2-part question. If you were the Australian police, would you allow him in the country? And
that's going to be interesting, actually. They might not. They stopped someone years ago. Other Kenya or...
Yeah, that was about the dogs or something, wasn't it?
I don't know what it was.
And who was the
I'm
best...
not big on the rap scene, if you know what I mean.
Oh, really? Who was the best NRL grand final entertainment you've ever seen?
That I've ever seen, probably Tina, 93.
Yeah.
I was there that day. She was just good because it got everyone going.
93 and 96? Did she play twice?
93. I don't know. No, I don't think so. Certainly she was there in 93.
Yeah.
Players actually came out of the dressing room to
Wow.
have a look at her. So, yeah,
Wow.
I remember the Saints players in the tunnel. Came down the tunnel to have a look at her performing. So,
wow.
She was big, yeah. Yeah, there's been some howlers, though. I was there the night Billy Idol went around on the hovercraft. Just couldn't get... I love my rock and roll. Remember? And that was it. Then he just drove off with his tail between his legs.
I was there one time when they did a tap dance thing out the front. Remember that? That was at the old footy stadium. They did a tap dance out the front and it didn't work. And they had to pull them up.
42nd Street?
Yeah, 42nd Street. Remember that?
Mate, 42nd Street was one of the great grand final halftime stuff-ups. They brought the cast of 42nd Street in. They all went out, took their position, stood there, and I think it was 89.
Was it? Yeah.
Right, they stood there and stood there. No, the music didn't come on because someone forgot to bring the tape.
Oh, very good.
As simple as that. Someone just forgot to bring the tape with the music.
Very good. All right, Kenty, another great week. Actually, I'm going to ask you one more. This is from our friend, not Marie. To avoid collisions from the kickoff, would you consider a restart like they do in water polo, where the ball is placed on halfway and both teams run from the goal line?
Mate, look, he's trying his hardest, this bloke. Right. Okay. Look, he's a dope, right? He's about 10 cents in the dollar, I'm sure. But the thing is, look, he's trying to write these stupid questions in. Years ago, there used to be the Bartholomew Christmas triplets, right? He used to ring talkback radio with ideas.
Right.
And they were quite clever, you know what I mean? Like, bloke couldn't get the ball down. They had a solution. When the guy got held up one day out of the line, they said, I've got a solution to fix that. And they said, how? They said, just don't cut the grass as long, right? Right. Another guy got done for a double mover. We've got a solution for that. And they used to ring up the talkback radio and disguise their voices because the talkback guys wouldn't let them on, right? So anyway... So when they, like Hadley and that would sit there and they wouldn't let them through, so they had to pretend. There's three brothers all doing it. They'd all pretend anyway. They'd get on there because every time they stuffed it up, they had to go to an ad to reset the 7-second break. Anyway, so the guy rings up one day to fix the problem with double movements. Had about 3 double movements in a weekend. I know how to fix that. How's that? Just make the try line. Just move it half a metre forward. Mate. Oh, they used to go. The radio blokes used to go berserk. So,
Very good.
Look, mate, keep trying, whatever your name is. Keep trying because eventually we'll get one. You'll get a laugh out of us.
Very good. All right, Kenty. Good luck on darts tonight.
Yeah, we're on.
Until tomorrow. Cheers.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.